Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Purple Breakdown. I am your host, Alex. I'm so glad to be back here on another episode here with you. It's a Friday, the weekend's about to be upon us. I'll be watching the Miami play at 6 o'clock tonight against Western Michigan. Hopefully they continue that winning streak and make it 29-0, but we'll see. I'm going to knock on wood right now. So hopefully I don't jinx that. But I'd like to thank you all for jumping in and joining, and we're here to talk about the Ravens today again. And we're going to jump right into it. It's probably not going to be too long of a session today. I want to keep it short. I want to keep it sweet so you can keep going on with your days. But starting up, no update on Tyler Linderbaum contract yet. We know it's been offered a record-setting or market-setting deal to Tyler Linderbaum, but there's been no update on whether or not he's accepted it yet. This may just be because of the combine going on and Mentor DaCosta and a good portion of the coaching staff is at the combine right now, so they may be waiting for the combine to end before doing that. But I am starting to get a little worried about this because it's taking a lot of time, and I understand Linderbaum is talking with his agent and seeing what's the best way to go around and approach this. But Linderbaum is such a centerpiece to the Ravens offense and such a key piece to keep on there that if he doesn't accept a market-setting contract for us, there's something going on behind the scenes there, and it speaks to something else. And the Ravens have shown a lot of love and appreciation towards him, and I really hope that he feels the love and appreciation that is coming his way, and especially with the contract that's getting offered like this. It's going to be $20 million or more per year, and he will be the standard then going forward. But the Ravens can't afford to lose their three-time Pro Bowler who's just coming off his rookie contract. And at the end of the day, if he doesn't accept this contract, DaCosta has already said that a franchise tag is not in store for him. They will not use a franchise tag on him, and we will have to go into looking at the backups. And I know everyone's talking about the center for the Bills this past year being the backup coming to Baltimore, being the center coming to Baltimore if Tyler Linderbaum goes away. But I'm sorry, that's not a winning recipe right there. You need somebody who's going to be that center linchpin, and that's going to be Linderbaum, and Linderbaum must stay at the Ravens. And they need to make sure they keep sending him that love and telling him, hey, stay here, stay here. The other news is there's no major update on Lamar Jackson's contract yet. They're definitely still talking about it, and this is something that I think is just coming to a stop because it's more DaCosta and Jackson one-on-one, and they're at DaCosta's at the combine right now, and this is slowing down right now while DaCosta's at the combine. But DaCosta's already said very much so that he's very enthusiastic about it, that Lamar's very into this, and that Lamar is very engaging, and he is the quarterback. And Bisciotti has also said that Lamar is the quarterback. He has been involved in all the coaching talks, and I am 100% certain a deal will get done with him. I know Nick Faria, or however you pronounce his name, for the Jets came out and said, well, Lamar, this may be his last year with the Ravens if he can't get a contract done, because I just look at that organization, I feel like people are getting tired of him there, and they just think it's not worth it. I'm sorry, that's a load of baloney. This is not Lamar's last year with the Ravens. It won't be his last year. He has love and respect of the fan base. The owners love him. The coaches love him. The organization loves him. He is the man for the Ravens, and he's not going anywhere. So if you guys keep hearing these rumors going about that this could be Lamar's last year, he could be going somewhere, the Ravens are not going to let a quarterback of that talent, who has been the Ravens quarterback for the longest time now, and actually we're closing in 2 years, we'll be on a decade, that you're not letting him go. Somebody who's only 29, somebody who's still going to keep competing well for you, somebody that you're working a contract out with. I'm sorry. And somebody who's that involved with the organization, don't believe those rumors. They're rumors. It's somebody trying to hit click and come listen to me because I'm saying something controversial. Nothing there at all. So just throw those out. The other major news coming out today that is godsend, amazing, best thing. We have a Madubuike update. And according to Bobby Trossett, he is expected to come back and play this next year. Jesse Minter said that they're feeling confident too, and that retirement is not in the cards for Madubuike this next year. So that is great news to hear. I love hearing this, that Madubuike can be back and is expected to be back, and they're confident that he'll be healthy and he'll be ready to go. This is something that the Ravens really need. He is the centerpiece of that defense, and without him out there, you could see what happened to the Ravens pass rush and to the Ravens defensive line. It's extra. It's the top man coming back to reclaim his title there on the Ravens defense and just add that extra pressure in, and him being there will take pressure off of the other players and allow them to make more plays. And it's what the Ravens really need. I'm really glad to hear that he is not going anywhere. He's coming back. He's expected to be healthy, and that we can expect to see him in a Ravens uniform again this next year. It may take time for him to get back into full shape, but it's what the Ravens really need to. And now, this is a good transition in. Just because we get news that Madubuike may be returning and is expected to return does not mean that the Ravens still shouldn't focus on the trenches. The Ravens are definitely going to focus on the trenches in this draft. This is their strategy, building up the trenches. It's how they're going to go about winning a Super Bowl, is by building the trenches up and having a strong defensive line that can play bully ball, put pressure on the quarterback. And if you put a lot of pressure on the quarterback and force them to hurry up, you are the secondary's best friend because you're making their job easier. And that's what the Ravens need, because they were not making the secondary's job easier this past year when they were not playing complementary football and putting pressure on the quarterback. And so building the trenches, and I think it's still starting on the defensive side. You need the defensive side to be the first thing to get there. And when looking at this, I want to start defensive tackle. Even with Madubuike coming back, I think the Ravens should focus on defensive tackle first, add key extra depth there, and then add depth to the edge next. And I think there's definite key level talent pieces that can turn into gems that are in the upper first round for defensive tackle. And I think the edge class this year is incredibly deep. And I think the Combine proved that this year, that they have a very deep edge class that is ready and hungry to get up there and go. And so I want to jump in a little bit and talk about what we saw coming off the field yesterday, especially since it's such a pivotal day for the Ravens with defensive linemen out there, edge rushers, defensive tackles, and linebackers going out and being at the Combine. And remember, today on the field is defensive backs and tight ends. So be watching defensive backs, especially if the Ravens can't, in free agency, bring in all the safeties and cornerbacks that they need. They may be looking at cornerbacks and safeties to try and add depth there. But they'll be out on the field today. Tomorrow is running backs, quarterbacks, and wide receivers. And O-line, who we'll definitely need to watch, are going to be on the field Sunday. But let's talk in and let's dive into the big standouts so far at the NFL Combine. And looking at this, there have been some standouts coming out of it. And the Combine has been grading as they go along. The Combine grades on a scale of 1 to 9. Most of the time it's between 5 to 7. If you're in that 7 up range, you are going to be a starter this next year. You will be not only the starter, but predicted to be a next level talent. If you're in the 6 range, you're projected to be a starter or that first rotational guy, backup, or you're in the rotation, you're getting play. If you're in that 5, you're more just projected to be a backup, not getting as many starts, and so on. And defensive tackles, Caleb Banks made a name for himself again yesterday. He had a production score of 66 and some score of 7. Total score of 71. Sorry for the noise there. I'm looking at the stats straight up and decided to play video while going along. His 40-yard dash was a 5.04. He had a 10-yard split of 1.76. He had a vertical jump of 32 inches, and he had a broad jump of 9 feet 6 inches. So very good stats. Now remember, 3-cone drill, 20-yard shuffle, and bench press are still up, and they'll be coming here in the coming days. Now today they're doing bench today actually. So we'll get to see that. He was a standout guy. I like the way he looks. He's a physical, talented specimen. I mean, he stands at 6'6". He has arm length of 35 inches. He weighs 327 pounds. He could definitely be a defensive tackle. That is the know-how for the Ravens and moving forward with how they want to move. His overall grade was a 6.39. Caden McDonald got an overall grade of 6.39 as well. Peter Woods has a overall grade of 6.36. 76. He has a production score of 81. He has an athleticism score of 76, and he has a total score of 79. Now remember, these scores that are coming out are going to be not so much are going to be influenced by the combine, but that Peter Woods didn't actually run or do any of the on the field workouts this week. So remember that his grade will be a little different than those who are out there running. But they did put Caden McDonald and Caleb Banks above Woods. There were some others. Lee Hunter out of Texas Tech got a 6.29 grade, and he looked pretty well out there. He ran a 5.18 40-yard dash. He ran a 1.79 10-yard split, had a vertical jump of 21.5 inches, had a broad jump of 8 feet 4 inches. He is 6'3.5". He has an arm length of 33.25, hands of 9.25, and weighs 318 pounds. He got a production score of 82, an athleticism score of 53, so a lower score, and then a total score of 73. And these were just some of the guys. The total ones that landed a 6 or above that the Ravens could be looking at in the first round are a 6.39 from Caleb Banks, a 6.39 from Caden McDonald, 6.36 from Peter Woods, a 6.34 from Christian Miller, a 6.34 from Xavion Harris, a 6.29 from Lee Hunter, a 6.24 from Dominique Orange, a 6.24 from Tyler Oniadium, a 6.2 from Albert Regis, a 6.18 from DeMonte Capehart, a 6.1 from Brandon Cleveland, a 6.0 from Darrell Jackson Jr. I also think it's good to point out that some of these fives did have good times, and the defensive tackle out of Oklahoma, Monique Williams, I think performed pretty well last night in what he did. Oh, he didn't even run. Never mind. Take back what I say. I thought I remembered seeing his name out there, but he did not. So remember, those who run, those who don't. But those are the 6, and if they're looking, your ones for the Ravens, if you're looking at picking in the first round, the one that you want in the first round, it's going to be Caleb. I think now it's between Caleb Banks and Peter. I think it's between those two right now. And we can... And I'll break it down right now. On PFF, Caleb Banks gets a grade overall. No, he gets an overall grade of 68.8, and then Peter Woods grade. And then Peter Woods got a grade of 72.5. So there is a difference between the two. He had 14 pressures this past year. Peter Woods did. He had good games. He had some games that he struggled in, especially against Florida State. His season stats for Peter Woods were 3 sacks, 6 assists, 21 total. Caleb Banks on season stats had 1 assist and 3 in total. So if I'm looking at this, I think I'm still on the side of Peter Woods. And that's just a little from the fact that he's played these full years. Caleb Banks didn't play all those games, and I still think there's a higher upside in the explosiveness that comes out of Peter Woods. And not to say that there's not an explosiveness of Caleb Banks, but this may change the grade on who wants to go where. But I'm still a Peter Woods guy, but it could be Peter Woods and it could be Caleb Banks that the Ravens are looking at in the first round there, especially with their grade and especially where we're sitting at. And those will be the guys within reach for the Ravens to draft there. It's going to be between Peter Woods, Caleb Banks, and Caden McDonald. And it'll be those 3 that they can get their reach out and try and grab. Now, at edge, There's one graded above a 7, and that's Arvell Reese. He's a 7.04 and out of Ohio. Everyone knows him. He ran a 40-yard dash at 4.46 and had a 10-yard split of 1.58. He has a production score of 84, an athleticism score of 78, and a total score of 84. He's fast, he's quick, he's violent. He's 6'4", has an arm length of 32.5 inches, weighs 241 pounds, and has hands of 9.5 inches. He will not be in reach of the Ravens. After that, the next highest score was David Bailey, who has a grade of 6.78. He ran a 4.5, had a 10-yard split of 1.62, had a vertical jump of 35 inches, had a broad jump of 10 feet 9 inches, had a production score of 98, an athleticism score of 80, and a total score of 86. I don't think he'll be on the board for the Ravens either. Now you start getting guys that maybe, but I don't think, because Ruben Bain Jr. got a grade of 6.7. I also honestly think he goes well before what the Ravens could take, with a production score of 93, an athleticism score of 68, and total score of 84. He did not run or do any last night, so. But I believe those three are going to be gone well before what the Ravens can even do to touch them. Those who are within reach of the Ravens, Keldrick Falk got a 6.45 grade. He has a production score of 73, an athleticism score of 76, and a total score of 78. His vertical jump is 35 inches and a broad jump of 9 feet 9 inches. He could be one that is within reach of the Ravens. He has a height of 6 feet 6 inches, an arm length of 34 3/8 inches. He has a weight of 276 pounds, and hand length is 9 inches and 7/8, 9 and 7/8 inches. The other one within range of the Ravens would be Cassius Howell, and he got a overall prospect grade of 6.38. He has a production score of 74, an athleticism score of 74, and a total score of 77. He had a 4.59 40-yard dash, 1.58 10-yard split, a 32.5-inch vertical jump, and 9 feet 7-inch broad jump. He has a height of 6'2.5 inches. He has an arm length of 30.25 inches. He weighs 253 pounds and has hands of 9.25 inches. It's interesting to note that I've been seeing in the mock drafts I do Zion Young going in this second round. But Zion Young got a higher grade than Cassius Howell, and he has a 6.4 overall grade. And he has a production score of 80, a athleticism score of 68, and a total score of 74. He did not participate in any of the events on the field last night. One other guy that I'd really like to call out and bring attention to that I think had a great combine was Malachi Lawrence. And I know this has been a discussion of who could the Ravens take later on for a player later on between Ndamukong Tucker and Malachi Lawrence. Lawrence got a prospect grade of 6.23, had a production score of 69, but an athleticism score of 86. He ran a 4.52 40-yard dash, had a 10-yard split at 1.59. He had a vertical jump of 40 inches, had a broad jump of 10 feet and 10 inches, and then the later drills are to come today. He is 6'4", weighs 253 pounds, has 9.25-inch hands, and has arm length of 33 5/8 inches. He is one that I think had a standout, and it's definitely a battle between the two. Do you want Tucker, who produced more in the regular season, or would you rather have Lawrence with the upside that he had? LT Overton, when I watched him last night, he had a 4.87 40-yard dash. He had a 1.7 10-yard split. He gets an overall prospect grade of 6.15 at 6'3", has an arm length of 33.25, weighs 274 pounds, and has hands of 10 5/8. I'm still not overly impressed by him. I think there's better out there. There's so many who got a grade of 6 or higher. It is such a deep class that the Ravens could be looking at for edge, and I think this is sort of a draft what is best available. When you're looking at DaCosta and what is DaCosta looking for out of this, it's very much a draft best available, especially when it comes to the edges. There's just so much available there, and you can really take them anywhere. And you can take them later, you can take them earlier. I still stand by taking defensive tackle first, and then in the second round going to either edge or O-line, depending on who is still there. It's going to be draft best available. That's what DaCosta does and what he does so well. Defensive tackles, the leader is Zane Durant out of Penn State at a 4.75 on the 40. For the split, it's also Zane Durant at 1.66. He had a great combine. He is looking back up. Defensive edge, the 40-yard dash fastest was Arvell Reese again, and then it's David Bailey, and then it's Malachi Lawrence. It's such a good edge class. And that's what I want to stress. This is a deep edge class that I can go deep into the stats and talk about all the stats that there are and how the Ravens could respond with what stats. And I know some people may be hearing me rattle off these stats and going, oh, well, these are stats that may not care about. I think it's good to get players actually in front of the combine and actually measure them out and get their measurables, especially since I don't entirely trust the colleges to necessarily always be truthful with what their actual size is and what those measurements are. And so I think the real measurement that comes out of the combine is being able to get the actual measurements there and it for the coaches to see. And I'll be honest, yeah, it's good to see the athleticism and you can say that, but the most important part of combine that's going on right now is that the coaches get to be in front of these players. That even though a player may be at the combine and not participating in the events, or they get to be in front of the coaches, they get to have informal interviews, talk with the coaches, and the coaches get to understand a little bit of who they are as a player. And this is the most important part because this is going to help the coaches sort of start setting their boards and getting an understanding, because you don't want to just draft a player off of, well, he has the highest athleticism score I've ever seen, and that's all I want. You want to get to know who the player is, especially with what the Ravens are looking for out of this draft, with somebody who is very detailed, knows how to play, knows where they're supposed to be, plays with physicality. You're trying to get that right mindset out of the player, and you need to be able to talk with them, and that's what's so beneficial about this. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about with the combine going on and looking at how it could shift around, there's one other really actually big piece that I think I don't just think it is being used, and I got it pointed out to me that the other thing that coaches are looking at now is that players, when they're on the field in college now, are actually underneath their uniforms and their pads having GPS trackers in their pads that allow the coaches to track immediate on-field stats. How fast are they going? Where are they going on the field? And you can rewatch the plays and see all this, and it's helping with the analytics of the on the moment. I think this is so valuable to the coaches, and the Rams, I know, are doing this, that the Ravens need to be looking at these and getting this information, because that's a telltale sign of how well these players actually play, especially in on-the-field instances, and you're not just seeing a 40-yard dash time because they've been practicing for the past month or whatever of how fast can they run a 40-yard dash and specifically preparing for that. You're getting to see their real in-game stats. How quick are they moving from side to side? How fast are they going down the field? How quick do they stop, and what's their change of direction? You get all this, and that information is so important. I think it's possibly more important to get that than what stats you can get at the combine. The most important part of combine is that the coaches get to interact with the players. But this other part with the GPS and how to track the stats in real time, I think is so much more important and valuable. And the coaches need to be taking a look at that. Now, the combine results, I definitely say you have my opinion on defensive tackle first. If the Ravens are looking at edge, I'm looking at Zion Young if he lands out in the second round. And then later on, I think Malachi Lawrence is going to fly up people's boards because of this. And he's going up my board, honestly. Ndame Tucker's still on there, but there's edges that are looking better if they don't take a defensive tackle in the first round. I think Darrell Jackson Jr. is not a bad option. I like the way he looked last night. And this is where I sort of stand right now. After today, this is how I'm looking and watching the players. And I watch the TV, and again, you're just looking for how are they performing in the drills, how are they performing in these situations, and understand that they've been practicing this for months, that they just specifically get ready for the combine. And you got to take a look at game film also. And this is where the GPS and knowing those in-game stats and watching the film help further, and then the interviews. And so we'll see how this continues going forward. Again, remember, today we have the bench press for defensive linemen, linebackers, kickers, and punters. Defensive backs and tight ends are on the field today. They'll be doing bench tomorrow. So I hope you all continue enjoying watching the combine, seeing who's coming out next. We'll keep going into the big winners coming out of this over the next coming days. I'm still excited and thankful that you guys got to jump in today and talk, and I just got to highlight a few players. I didn't want to take up too much of everyone's time. Thank you so much for jumping in. I can't wait to make the next episode. If you're on YouTube and you really enjoy the content that you're hearing, please consider subscribing. Please like the video. Please share it. Comment. Again, it makes my days when you guys comment. I love hearing from you guys. It makes me smile. If you're on Spotify, follow, leave a review, leave a comment. Thank you all so much for joining in. I can't wait to make the next podcast and get out there and talk with you guys. I will be making another one tomorrow night probably. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.